Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Well, apparently a lot of shit because I skipped yesterday, and like now we got 2 days of fucking Diddy shit to catch up on, as well as apparently a Pierce Morgan interview with some dude named Big CC or CC the fuck. I don't know, but we about to get into it because we have a long night ahead of us. 'Cause we got like fucking 3 diss tracks to get through too. Listen, let's go, Pierce. What you got? I've also actually been very curious to hear what Pierce has to say about this whole thing. Because I don't think I heard a word of it outside of this, which I just saw like yesterday, or saw the title of yesterday. I haven't heard him say anything about it, so I'm really curious.
World works. After working in the industry, I converted my business to combat human trafficking. His views skewed when it comes to sexual activity. I believe it's helped turn him into a sexual deviant. I've had FBI come to my house before and tell me they found a threat against my life. Somebody didn't want me to do this interview. This is a dangerous game people are playing, and some people deserve retribution.
You clearly feel that Sean Combs made people disappear.
I know this situation is dangerous. I've had several attempts on my life throughout my career.
Other people say that Diddy was a Fed himself, that he was on their payroll. Do you think that's a possibility?
This
If
music
there's
is
smoke,
ridiculous.
there's fire, Peirce. I've very rarely seen any straight dudes in this industry, man. All bisexual weirdos. I don't want to be the only straight man at the party.
And what would
That's
you like
crazy.
to happen to him?
I'll say this.
The opening days of Diddy's trial in Manhattan have been gripping, lurid, shocking, and revelatory. It's everything we should have expected from a federal case against a mogul and megastar who stands accused of sex trafficking, racketeering, and conspiracy. My next guest has been watching these week's proceedings with a particular and personal interest. Big Homie CC is a celebrity bodyguard and security entrepreneur, and he joins me now. Big Homie, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Hello, Peirce. How are you today?
Yeah, good, thank you. We're 2 days into this case against Diddy. What is your gut feeling about what's going to happen here?
Well, my gut feeling on what's going to take place is, well, we're going to see a lot of strange things take place due to the fact that I know how this world works. After working in the industry, I converted my business to combat human trafficking. Last year, my team brought home 17 people, 4 children, 1 boy. And whenever these trials come about, the closer you get to the trial date, a lot of things start happening to remove people from the case that are going to strengthen the case for the prosecution. And I feel like we're watching that take place now with one of the male sex worker guys who provided tapes to the feds. He's disappeared. And
What?
it's similar to what happened in the Tory Lanez case, where the bodyguard whose DNA was on the weapon, he disappeared. So I expect to see a lot of strange things take place. I expect.
And that fucking third witness hadn't showed up or is missing. Fucking crazy.
To see the defense team do a lot of steps to lighten the image of Combs, and we've been watching that take place.
From what you know about him, Sean Combs, obviously the perception of him has changed dramatically since these allegations were made and since he got charged. I mean, from everything we're seeing now, he seems a very
dude's always been a fucking
unpleasant,
weirdo. That's no
nasty,
secret.
violent piece of work. Is that a correct assessment?
The assessment is going to be correct. So what I've learned is, whenever you see a gentleman like this, from affluence and power, whenever they have an addiction to MDMA or the drug ecstasy, they call it the love drug. So he's been doing this drug for over 20 years.
Damn.
So that's going to lead his views skewed when it comes to sexual activity. I believe it's helped turn him into a sexual deviant. And, you know, what type of man wants to see another man urinate in his wife's mouth? I feel like it's evil. I think his behavior is egregious.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking crazy.
And, you know, I have a history of...
Tyree! Back in 30 Shit. Back in 30 minutes, about to leave work. All right, bet. We got a lot of... We'll be here for a while. You're not going to miss the music, so it's all good at least. Thanks for pulling up, though.
Very heinous acts on people like this who participate in this type of
Oh, right. The fucking... What did he just say?
You know, I have a history of using very heinous acts on people like this who participate in this type of lascivious acts.
As we're talking, Cassie Ventura, who was his longtime girlfriend,
Oh,
is
right.
one of the two.
I was gonna say when he mentioned drugs and like sexual behaviors and shit, I was thinking that there's like a difference between like for me at least in my mind there's a line between like kink and like a mental problem, right?
People who the feds have brought this case with. She says that Combs would bash on my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me. Asked how often, she replied, too frequently. She says she didn't want to participate in the freak-offs, as he called them, but she...
Yeah, you see what I mean? Like swinging is one thing, like couple swinging is one thing, but like doing all that kind of abuse like in like the realm of a sexual encounter, that's a fucking mental problem. Like what we talking about?
did so because she loved him very much and wanted to make him happy. She told the jury she was scared of what he would do if she said no. Physical violence from Combs, she said, was always
Very, very
on the back
common,
of her
commonly
mind. He
heard in
wanted
these
to control
situations.
every aspect of her life, from how she looked to her work. And when he
How old
couldn't
she
reach her
was.
immediately, he and his employees
The
would
celebrity
call her
factor.
incessantly or come and find it in
10-year
person.
contract.
So she's building a picture of a violent control freak.
Yeah.
Is that a picture that you recognize of what you know about this?
Right. So definitely, these are traits that I recognize. In the field that I work in, whenever we get a call for a retrieval and a family is concerned about a loved one, those same characteristics that this woman listed is the same things that streetwalkers will list about their boyfriend, which is actually their pimp and panderer. That's why I have an affinity for people who are survivors of this type of nonsense and oppression.
Right.
And this sounds familiar. You know, along this path, I've been poisoned 3 times.
Ooh.
My toxicology report showed cyanide. And
Damn.
cyanide metabolizes into pneumonia in your body. So I've had pneumonia on 3 occasions.
Fucking crazy.
And these problems didn't start for me until I started to speak out about people like this. You know, it's been a hard time to line up this interview because the last time I was scheduled to be in this interview, randomly, our car gets hit from the side by a blacked out vehicle. No license plate. That's happened 3 times this month so far.
Really?
Somebody didn't want me to do this interview. Yeah, somebody didn't want me to do this interview. You know, I'm somebody where I've had FBI come to my house before and tell me they found a threat against my life. So, you know, I'm well versed in this world. But
And like, it's not even saying that it's like Diddy's people who does that or Diddy that told that the shit that happened. He's saying like in his line of work, like he's worked for other people outside of Diddy, right? He's just around the entire industry, so like he could be talking about anybody, right? Okay, no, what? No, okay, we're all talking about Diddy's thing, right? This is about Diddy's trial, this interview, right? But what the way he's saying it makes it sound like this is like it wasn't just Diddy that poisoned him 3 times over the course of his life. It could have been other people he knows shit about. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking crazy.
I got round the clock security.
But that's what that money
right
do.
Here with me right now.
That's what that power do.
This is a dangerous game people are playing, and it's a good feeling for me to see the justice system prevail. And some people deserve retribution.
You clearly feel that Sean Combs over the years has made people disappear.
Right. Well, Peirce, let me ask you a question. From your journalistic perspective, have you ever noticed how in this industry, people untimely meet their demise as soon as somebody else seems like they're having a problem? Have you ever seen that before?
Well, there was, of course, the case of one of his other ex-girlfriends, Kim Porter, who died of pneumonia at a very young age. You've just referenced your own situation with pneumonia that you believe was deliberate poisoning. Do you believe that?
I tried to be charitable, but I can't. He's talking about did he try to poison him 3 times allegedly, with the same method? Listen, if it didn't work the second time, why would you try it a 3rd time? Come on.
Maybe what happened to her.
Possibly.
Why are so many people coming down with pneumonia?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that happening to everybody? What is that about? Where have you ever seen this many cases of pneumonia associated with one situation? So,
There were rumors.
I'm not saying.
Well, I was going to mention on this that there have been rumors circulating online that Diddy may have poisoned Jamie Foxx, which caused his 2023 hospitalization. In his Netflix show, he compared Combs to the devil in revealing his near-death experience after a brain bleed and stroke. He said, I say this all the time. I saw the tunnel. I didn't see the light. It was hot in that tunnel. I thought, shit, have I gone to the wrong place? I looked up the end of the tunnel, and I thought I saw the devil saying, come on. Or was that Puffy? I'm effing around, but if that was Puffy at a flaming bottle of Johnson, and no, I'm just kidding, I think that you have taken that to be a not too oblique reference to the fact that he's suggesting he may too have been poisoned.
Jamie Foxx said out of his mouth that his partner handed him an Advil, and after he took that Advil, he woke up 22 days later.
Shit.
That's what he said out of his mouth. I feel
22
like us
days.
As a species, I feel like human skepticism has become a virus, because if we don't trust the words of our peers, where are we as a species? Eyewitness testimony and circumstantial evidence is enough to get a person a life sentence in any court on the earth. Why is it that when people are whistleblowing and putting their life and livelihood on the line, they receive so much scrutiny? I don't think that's by chance.
I don't think so either.
Tax day has passed, but for millions of Americans, that's where the trouble begins. The IRS is now ramping up enforcement for those who missed the April deadline or still owe back taxes. Well, today's sponsor,
It's kind of fucking
Tax
crazy. This
Network
is getting a little
USA,
wild.
can still help. If your books
Like,
are
I've been, over the past couple
self-employed,
days, I've been trying to
or
keep
if you're a
up.
business
Well,
owner,
when I'm not
Tax
streaming,
Network USA
things happen all the time, so I try to
specializes
keep
in
up with it
cleaning
as
up
it comes
financial
out.
chaos
There's
and
so
getting you
much
back
shit
on
about
track.
this case that
They say the IRS is applying
the sidebar
constant
unfortunately
pressure
doesn't
at
have
levels
time
we've
to
never
cover
seen
everything.
before.
But Jesus
But
Christ,
even
like
after the
details about like
deadline, it's not too late
Diddy
to
having
take control.
Cassie like
The
smear
consultation is completely
stuff
free,
on him
active
afterwards.
now
It's
to
it's
stop penalties,
not baby
criminal
oil, the other
levies,
stuff.
and
It's weird.
surprise levies
It's like
before they
that's not a
escalate.
crime, but that's
Call
just fucking
1-800-958-1000
weird, right? It's like
or visit
another layer of weird. It's a Damascus steel
tnusa.com/peers.
layer of fucking weird.
That's tnusa.com/peers. Let Tax Network USA make the next move, not the IRS. I mean, why would Diddy want to poison Jamie Foxx?
Why not?
If you know that you have, well, just to give
was
some
offended.
insight to people watching, when you come under federal investigation, they send you a target letter. You get informed that you're being investigated. So if you wanted to tie up loose ends and you were concerned that people that you knew could incriminate you, you may have interest in eliminating them. We've seen this all throughout history.
I mean, this sounds kind of mafioso stuff, but I sense that you're talking from a lot
It
of
sounds mafioso because what I say in some other rap shit like a long time ago, I think during one of Joy Badass' songs, is that a lot of East Coast hip hop identity comes from mob life, right? Sean Don is a mob boss, right? There's a whole lot of mob shit going on within like East Coast hip hop culture, especially back in the day in the '90s and shit. That shit was huge. Don bars, mob bars all the time. What's the Biggie's thing? Junior Mafia. What are we talking about? It's extremely mafioso because that's exactly what it is, or inspired from.
experience here that you genuinely believe this is a highly dangerous situation involving a highly dangerous man with very dangerous people acting on his behalf potentially.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely speaking from experience. This is definitely a highly dangerous situation because this guy was the middleman. He was the party guy. He was the person who lined up the parties and festivities for a lot of guys a lot more wealthy and affluent than him. So, you know, I'm a person who believes that the Epstein's list is very similar to Diddy's list. I'm a believer in that. And, you know,
I wouldn't be
whenever it
surprised.
comes to protecting women and children, I'm going to be fierce.
Facts.
Big ups to my sponsor, Stallion Gear, for putting up funds to help us go out and help people. You know, I want to salute Michael Franzese because he's probably the only
Yeah.
famous person who donated to our campaign.
And ironically enough, Michael Franzese is an actual mob guy. He's an actual fucking mob guy. They're like one of the last living, like the only capo who was a capo who was still alive. Everyone else is fucking dead. Right. He's the only one who got out and still survived. And he's not doing this shit that Diddy's. It's crazy. Crazy.
For protecting women and children, going down to the orphanages and passing out toys and gifts. Because at the end of the day, us as men, we must learn to police ourselves in our own community, because if not, these type of activities will continue to run rampant. I know this situation is dangerous. I've had several attempts on my life throughout my career. And, you know, where there's one dangerous guy, there's a group.
You referenced earlier, I have a history of heinous acts against people who behave like that. What did you mean by that?
Well, there's a lawsuit that I'm listed in where allegedly I quipped Combs about his sexual deviant activity, and I protected the plaintiff and pointed a firearm at Mr. Combs. That's what the paperwork says. They don't have their facts right, but, you know, I have a reputation for, you know, maintaining a proper balance.
What was he doing, Combs?
I like
at
the way
time?
he said that.
Yeah, so that's all alleged. So, you know, they don't really got they don't have the facts correct with that situation. There's some sort of conspiracy going on, because the same law firm that has brought this case, they tried to file this same case last year. They finally got it amended this year, and this same law firm was trying to pay me $5,000 to come talk on an interview. I turned it down, and then they filed this paperwork. You know, I firmly believe that this lawsuit was filed by people off his side to try to discredit me, other witnesses, and to try to get this current case that he's on thrown out. That's how deep this goes, because the law firm who brought this asinine case, nobody can seem to track them down. How can they have this case amended? Who has the finances to file this type of lawsuit? You know, I got to pay Ed Zappia $15,000 to represent me in a case like this while this trial is going on. Something weird is happening.
But just to be clear, was there an incident where you witnessed somebody who was being abused or about to be abused or had been abused by Diddy, by Sean Combs, and you intervened and warned him to stop?
Definitely.
And what can you tell me about that?
Yeah,
Definitely.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you know, it's an open case, so like I can't really expound too much on that.
True.
But I've had several calls about this guy. You know, I've had several calls about his son. You know, people reaching under ladies' dresses, fondling them without asking for permission. You know, where did he learn this behavior from? Where would he learn that from? You know, legendary Dapper Dan said he grew up, he knew Combs' parents, and he said what's going on with Combs didn't start with him, it started with his family. The same things I see when I'm battling trafficking cases. The most common enablers of this activity are close relatives, families, and friends.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Lots of
Especially if you're
rumours, as
someone like someone as affluent as Diddy, as powerful as Diddy, connected, you're gonna enable his behavior for your own benefit, regardless of who else gets hurt. You're not involved directly; you're just reaping the benefits, right? That's why you're the enabler, not the co-conspirator, right? Fucking, it's a whole web of bullshit. That's the word.
you know, swirling about Diddy and have been accelerated by what's happened to him. One of them is that he had something to do with Tupac Shakur's murder. Do you believe that?
Well, you know, when it comes to situations like that, you got to look at the list of facts. There's
Yeah.
a guy by Dwayne Keith Davis who's currently in a Las Vegas detention center, and he swears up and down that Combs promised him a payment to unalive the rapper, and the rapper became unalived. And FBI say Eric Von Zip intercepted the payment and kept it for himself. Like this, the paper trail wouldn't exist. If there's smoke, there's fire, Peirce.
Right.
Other people say
What about
that Diddy
Biggie?
was a Fed himself, that he was on their payroll. Do you think that's a possibility?
Well, that's definitely a possibility, but oftentimes in my culture, being an African American male, sometimes we can believe that we're bigger than the program. And the moment he decided to sue the liquor company Diageo, that's when all of the onset of these problems started. When you offend a list of board of directors and all of them are richer than you can get the short end of the stick, and that's what we're watching happen here.
Big Homie, we've all heard a lot about these freak-offs. Most people I've talked to say, well, there were layers of parties that Diddy would throw. There was the public one with all the glamour and all the celebrities and stuff, and then there'd be various layers ending up in the freak-off area, and that would go on sometimes for days and was extremely depraved, involved a lot of drugs, a lot of very kinky, depraved sex and so on. What can you tell me about the freak-offs? For those who don't know anything about this world, what was it about
Well, it's
the
not a world
freak-offs
thing, it's a
that
Diddy
is
thing.
so fascinating to people, do you think?
What people have to understand is swinger parties exist. And that's exactly the lifestyle that this gentleman lives. He's a swinger. And swingers hang with other swingers. That's what it is. Like the term freak off has become sensationalized by media, but what the true nature and name for this event is going to be called a swinger party, Peirce.
Right.
And that's what takes place. You people, partners sharing their partner, indulging in sexual acts. As long as things are consensual, what people do is their business. But if I'm getting a call because somebody's applying oppression to other people, that's when things become a problem. And, I had sent in a video of the guy, Combs, walking around, collecting everyone's cell phone before they get onto a yacht to go party. Why do you have to collect everyone's cell phone before you go onto a party? He's collecting the phones himself. That's what I meant by there's layers to the party.
Right.
The first part of the event is going to be a normal social life.
I remember. I said this myself, but I also remember a while back when this shit started. Somebody pointed out somebody was at a Diddy party, and he started freaking out and saying, "Hey, I was at the party. I don't know what happened in the back door. I was at the party. That's all I came in. It was outside. I was not rich enough to go inside. Some shit like that." I'm like, that makes complete sense. Like, people use it as some kind of like, association thing, but like the vast majority of people who go to Diddy parties are just people who go to parties. Like, I feel like a fraction of those people ever see behind closed doors.
Socializing mixer. But, when the guy comes out collecting phones, that's when things are about to get,
Yeah.
that's when somebody cake's getting touched. This is how it goes. It's a zest apocalypse right now, man. We got to do something about this.
Is there any doubt that he was bisexual? Diddy? That seems to be clear from a lot of the evidence that's come out.
Yeah. All of these guys are when it comes to that. Like, I've very rarely seen any straight dudes in this industry, man. That's why I pivoted my business. Like, it's like, I don't want to be the only straight man at the party. So, I got to change it up. All of these dudes are, man.
But
all of them are.
And the freak-offs,
all bisexual weirdos.
Right, you're painting a picture of these freak-offs as being consensual largely, although the issue of the phones is obviously significant and will be tested, I'm sure, in court. But you're also suggesting that it was everyone sort of sharing partners. But isn't the key part of the Diddy case predicated on the fact that he may have been trafficking, in other words, bringing in a lot of sex workers to take part in these
the other
as well.
half of the party. Yes.
And that he, for example, with
Definitely.
Cassie Ventura, was, they were having, male sex workers, female sex workers, and so on. In other words, it may have been consensual, but it also involved people who were not, with each other, but actual sex workers joining in.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
whenever you see the little guys, the white dudes come in with the spiky hair looking like vampires, yeah, the sex workers is arriving. And at the end of the day, is it consensual if you're promising people a career path and a lifestyle and glitz and glamour, and you're saying, look, we're all doing it. Come join.
Right. He's drawing a line between consent and coercion and peer pressure.
Join us. You party with us, then I can get you a record deal. I can get you this. That's what's
Bribery.
going on to certain people. Everybody isn't being financially compensated, and that's where lies the problem.
Big Homie, you've referenced the fact that several times we tried to do this interview and stuff happened to you that was very concerning. Car with blacked out windows and so on, engaging with your vehicle and so on. Now that you've given this interview and you've gone public again and made it very clear what you think of Sean Diddy Combs, do you fear about reprisals?
No, I don't fear anything like that. I'm very,
but they don't seem
very
like it.
good at what I do, and I'm trained in everything dangerous.
Yeah, he's been here for a while,
I signed up for. I'm very well aware of the risk. I'm gonna go back into hiding after this, of course, but at the same time, me as a man, I'm here to fulfill my duty. God sent me to do a job, and I intend to get that job accomplished.
Do you think Diddy would want you dead?
Yeah. He can't
Probably
say
be in
that.
his best interest if I was.
Probably be in his best. That's the best way.
Good
He
luck with
knows
that,
how
though.
to answer
I've been
these
proven
fucking
to be hard
questions.
to kill, though. Shout out Turn Up guys. Shout out to the guys.
Just finally, Big Homie, there's a lot of speculation about what he may have kept on tape. And I think you've talked about the fact a lot of these guys like to keep trophies, memorabilia,
Absolutely.
souvenirs of their depravity, if you like. Just tell me about that briefly. I mean, was that part of the modus operandi for the freak-offs and everything?
Yeah, so what I'll say is throughout my career path, we may end up with a pedophile's phone.
Right.
And in that phone, you'll see a list of trophies.
Right.
And when it was announced that he had CCTV film cameras in the house, and when the Homeland Security did the initial raid, they didn't inform the raiding officers whose home they were raiding because they had information that he might have been protected. And, part of Epstein's thing was to get people in precarious situations, and then you have this footage that you can use against them to be able to have your way with champions of industry and able to control policy.
Pretty straightforward, yeah.
He does the same thing.
Right.
So, if you want to be able to seal a big deal, and there's a guy likes to party, it's easy to set that up. You send a guy a screenshot like, yeah, man, you had such a good time with those two underage girls yesterday, man. You remember this video right here? That person is going to have some incentive to help you out in what you need them to do. It's the same.
Like fuck up your
we've seen
shit
this
in court,
over and
right?
over.
What do you think is going to happen to him? And what do you want to happen to him?
Well, that's two different questions, obviously, but
I actually think he may get off.
really?
I think he might get off. I've seen stranger things take place. They offered him a plea deal of 15 years. He turned it down. That's that. At first, they were saying life. Then it went to 15 years. I wouldn't be shocked if he got off.
And what would you like to happen to him?
You can't answer that.
What I'd like to happen to him, I'm not gonna say on air.
Exactly.
I'll say it to you off camera, but I'll say this: I wish the worst And I have extreme disdain for any man who wants to traffic another person, because
Facts.
that is just slavery all over again. And I don't believe any one person should have dominion over another human being.
Facts.
Big Homie CC, thank you very much indeed for doing the interview on Uncensored. I appreciate it.
It was a very good interview. Definitely some good context for everything, for the industry, for like what he's about, like the connections. That's why I like listening to motherfuckers like that are like really in there and been there for a long time, because they've seen everything like the back of their hand. Like you can tell just by the way he talks about it that it's not out of the ordinary for him to see or hear. It's crazy. Crazy interesting. That's why I love